Hey, everybody. Live at you tonight. I'm going to be doing, I know I said I was going to do the Invaders card today, but um, I wasn't really feeling that, and I don't want to mess it up. So, what I decided to do is go ahead and work on some of the FireStorm universe origin story, which I've got one page left before I go ahead and post that to the new revamped site. And I didn't like the way I colored it, and it came out. So, I'm recoloring it real quick and matching closer to what I've got going on with the actual rest of the set. So I'm going to share this over with the page real quick, and we're going to color some of this and hang out for a little while. I'm going to go through the process, and then I'll, excuse me if I don't choke to death, I will hang out, answer a little bit of your questions, and check this stuff out if you are interested. And there we go. Cool deal. It's over with the channel and on the page, so we have it. Now, like I said, I've done a little bit of this before, and I just wanted to kind of hang out a little bit tonight and color some more of this because I'm going to knock it out. But for this coming week, for when Relapse goes live. So I just wanted to kind of come in and color some of this a little bit and get some of these cool images online for you guys. And now understand that this is copyrighted material. I have posted it in the black and white form, and you know, I do hold the copyright on it. So, and the trademark is, of course, naturally pending with pretty much everything these days. I'm waiting to get that back. So don't be posting it around because my attorneys will have something to say to you. So hopefully all you guys are cool like that, and no, we don't have to worry about that. But you never know. There's always some people, unfortunately, but we're professionals here, so we won't worry about that. But anyway, I just want to map this out, and I use a blending pencil for this. My choice of blending pencils, I color the whole thing, and then I go back and use a blending pencil and blend it down, and I use a color key for this. So what I do is I map out what I'm going to use, the pencil number, and color it, and then go across the entire page and make sure I mark where I do all that and map it. So then I can go back in and hold everything true to color and then smooth it down, and it gives it a great repro effect. Just phenomenal. Hey Gary, glad you made it, man. I really find this interesting because a lot of people don't color traditionally anymore. I like using the colored pencils because it gives it that classic look of maybe a heavy metal type of watercolor or something along that line. And like I said, you know, it's just a nostalgia thing for me. I really dig it. And since no one does it anymore, it's a dying medium due to the fact of the digital market coming out with, you know, digital coloring and all that. And I prefer to do this as a throwback because by doing it this way, it gives my comics an original voice, and it's not just digitally colored like everybody else's. I mean, I have to make this work in my favor, or otherwise it doesn't pull it out, you know? And I always find that really cool when things come together with a unique voice. And I don't want my comics just out there. I mean, I've got a lot of them digitally colored as well, you know, because you got to hold up with the market standard. But I would rather see most of them painted or colored by hand, and I know that's really expensive. But with the way digital scanners kick everything in place and they do all the color separations for you digitally now with the ink and the digital separations of digital presses, man, you don't have to worry about this anymore. You really don't. You can go in and do some really great stuff with this thing. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come in here and show you guys how I block this out. And it's the old rule of coloring, like when you were a kid in kindergarten, you know, or in your, you know, living room floor or your bedroom, that kind of thing, or sitting at the little kiddie table or wherever you did it. Try to keep it going the same direction. You don't have to, but try to keep it going the same direction because it'll smooth out easier when you do that, except for on your borders where you block it in. And just go back and forth a couple of times and get your saturation down. And you don't have to give yourself carpal tunnel or anything crazy like that, you know, scrubbing it on there. because then it overcakes the pencil on the finished piece. Okay, don't do that, because then you'll end up messing it up, and it will give you problems. I'm going to grab a ruler here so that I can block this up to raise the page for you guys. I'm grabbing my ruler here because it'll hold the page up higher. And here we go. I'm going to color this throughout, and then what I'll do is I'll go back in and tone it a little bit by grinding it down and smoothing it out. Because the reason I do this is because, like I said, I want to shoot this, and I don't want it to look like pencil or crayon or whatever. Okay, and I'll show you an example real quick. Matter of fact, let me grab one. I may have to sharpen one. Yeah, these Prismacolor Premier Colorless, these are blending pencils. They have a white lead in them. They're clear. This is what I use for that, and I don't have one right on me at the moment. Let me check my drawer here right under the desk. If you guys see the camera shaking, it's because I'm looking. I may not have one close to me right now, but I'll go ahead and sharpen this one up. So we'll have it. Let me check the table. Shame on me for not getting that. I should have got one out, but that's okay. Because what I'll do now is I'll go in and go ahead and sharpen this one and show you what this does real quick with the coloring and the downsizing so that you guys can have it. Because, oh, there it is. I found it, yay! But anyway, this is what it looks like shaved down. No big deal, right? Just another pencil. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do part of this, and I'll show you how it does this. Because when you smooth it down, it rubs a wax coating together, and it takes the extra off and smooths it out. It takes the extra lead off and smooths it down, and you'll see little lumps and pieces come off of this as it goes down, and it will smooth it down into one image. And to show you guys a better finished effect, what I'll do is I'll buff that off real quick, but I don't want to color spec the rest of the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this one more time and clean it up just a little bit more and smooth this out. And you guys can see, hopefully it translates where you guys can see the finished versus the color. You can see it's a little more rippled where I was going back and forth with the strokes of the pencil, and that smooths down, right? And here's a previous page. As you can see, there's a big difference in the color quality of the finished image. When you smooth it down, it looks really, really smooth, ground in there, and one tone throughout. It's even. So it evens it out once you buff it all out. Very, very important. Because if you don't, it may come out or may not come out looking like crayon or pencil. So always use your smoothing pencils and your colorless blenders and go in and get this stuff knocked out and take the excess off. And it also, excuse me, also it gives the stressed look of a painted or watercolored look because it's solid. Okay, it solidifies the color down into one pattern rather than you having all of these different colored strokes going around on here and it looking like each individual line. So it doesn't look as gritty. And I like it because of the fact that it makes it reproduce almost as good as digital or paint. And I know that's a big claim to make, but many artists are doing this now to get back old school because, for one, these pencils are way cheaper than these Copics. I mean, you know, I'm in practically $2,000 for my set of Copics, and they're 5 boxes, and I don't even have the gray sets. You know, I have what grays come in, those sets, but I don't have them as a gray set like a lot of people do because I would burn through them too much and just eat them up that way. But for the most part, I'm able to buy these pencils for 20 or 30 bucks a box, and they'll last me for a good comic book and a half because I don't grind them down, you know. And you guys see me use them on these cards all the time. And the reason they work and last so long is because, like I said, I color and I blend them down, and I don't grind them in to make the color pure as possible or dark as possible to drown out all the white, when that blending pencil will go in and do the same thing and color it and leave it bright and vibrant without me oversaturating and making the color darker than it should be. So I just take it right to the edge, no problem, color that down, and then I make the shift. You know, I get the blending pencil and start shifting it in. So, and I rarely have to change up pencils, but I do keep a couple of boxes on hand. These are a variation of different mediums. I use Sargent brand. I use Prismacolor. I use, let's see, the Stradler brand. I love that brand because it's got a really smooth set of colors, and that's exactly what this is. These are Stradlers. It's Staedtler, just in case you want to know and try them out. They're about, for a 48 count, I think it's something along the line of $26 to $30, depending on where you are and what you've got going on. So, you know, what your price market looks like. I mean, if you're out in New York, it may be a little more expensive, just due to the change of sales value on the marketplace. And, you know, just check around and call your local art store and Hobby Lobby and your local Michaels, that kind of thing. You can also order them online, and I know that Office Depot has them in stock as well. But I'm going to tell you, at Office Depot, they're like twice as expensive, because Staples, Office Depot, those places carry these kind of supplies as drafting supplies, not art supplies, so they charge different for them. And they're totally blowing it out of the water with their pricing. It is just unbelievable how expensive they're getting at those type of places, because they don't want, you know, it's a limited buy product, and they don't want you to use them as much. So, you know, it's a convenience carry type of thing, where Michaels tends to buy them in bulk and have them in stock a lot more. But in Staples' favor, you can get the refills for your pilots a lot easier if you use the pilot gel pens for anything, which I ink generic stuff with those. They do work pretty well. But I mean, let's see here. My new kick is to have this this precise V5 RT, which is a rechargeable, and I love this pen. It's a 0.5, and I love inking with this thing generically because I use a 5 primarily. And if you like gel pens and want them to be a little bit stronger, richer ink, you can definitely count on those to work in a pinch if you're out doing something and you're looking for alternative ink supplies. Because I know microns get expensive, but these little bad boys are really, really good for the money. So I like to get them, but to each their own. So, and as you can see here, I've ground this down about where it's going to need to be recharged by a sharpener. Gotta bring that back up. But I think I've got enough on here on the back side here to finish this up and go ahead and map this out on this arm. And there we go. Now, excuse me, man, coughing like crazy tonight. But if you guys are interested in this story, you'll have to go online on FireStormComics.com and check it out when I post it this week. So it's the origin story, and it'll be all nice and neat when it gets loaded up there. So I'm not going to talk too much about the story right at the moment. I'm just here for the art technique at this point, and I'm going to leave that open. But we've almost got this robe tapered in here, and this is the last one on this frame. Matter of fact, I won't have to sharpen this tonight. Thank goodness for that. I can go into his skin and things and get this done and map out the beautiful green that I have for his face and hands. So we'll get into that instead of going all over the place. Hey, Jim, glad you made it, man. Martin, been a while. I'm going to go into this beautiful green here, which I have for his face and hands. And as you can see how when you have these things sharpened up, man, the lead just goes boom and it's in your face. I love the color quality of these things. And again, this is a straddler as well. It's not bad, you know, for 30 bucks a pop. And if you have a Michaels mailing list email, about once every other month or so, I think it's like every 6 weeks, you end up getting a half off, you know, buy one, get one half off. And you can clean up with these things, man. You can really, really clean up with these things. I always do that. And I mean, even being able to afford the inks the way I am, I still prefer to have that. I'm not going to color that one just yet because I need to do the energy surge first of yellow. But I love to color this kind of stuff as true as possible, so I'm going to stick to that. But anyway, on point, I am going to tell you guys, go in and go to michaels.com, go to their emailing list, and they will send you a coupon. And you can get that coupon and hook your email and your phone up to it. And like I said, about every 6 weeks or so, they'll give you a buy one, get one half off or buy one, get one free. And at minimum, they'll give you a 20 or 30% coupon. And that'll help a lot with these pencils and inks and things like that. I love going over there to those guys. They're great. That's still one of my favorite stores. Even though I have a local craft store that I go to, which is owned for teachers, and I really, really love that store. I won't plug them because I don't want to have everybody bum rush them. And they know who they are and what they're about, and they know that they've got the clients coming from me because I give it word of mouth offline. But I don't want everybody just bombing them, you know, and whatnot. But yeah, it's crazy stuff, man. I love going around to these stores, finding deals. I'm an artist, just like anybody else. I go out and, you know, find whatever deals that come my way, and then I share them with people and go from there. But as far as these pencils go, I use Sargent's, which is a brand that's carried by Walmart for the most part. They're carried by Michaels too, I believe, in limited quantities. I know that you can get them at, like I said, at Walmart for sure, but you can get them online as well if you go to their sources. They have source sites, which I can post for you guys if you ask me outside of the show, and I'll be more than happy to help you with that and get that going. But I'm going to go in here with these really cool electric pink eyes because this is a spirit being, and I really, really dig doing this. It just makes his eyes pop off to no end. So it's just a regular hot pink color. And naturally, I knocked one off the desk, but that's okay. Now, we've got this down. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this yellow that I was talking about, and I'm going to make this really cool flare burst on the outside of this flame, because this is completely a magical fire type of thing. So that's what we're looking at here. So I'm going to go in here and pop this across this way, just kind of filling out the edges, as it were. And I've got a white line around this page with these characters here. With this one specifically, I've got an outline going on to cut the black. And the reason I did that is because I wanted it to have an old school 1970s, 1980s comic book style for the nostalgia of the book itself. And I was just like, okay, cool. I'm going to do that. So that's why we have that going on instead of it being true form and going to the edge. So I don't want people to go, you're highlighting the edge. Why are you doing that? And the flame not look right. It's because of the fact that I'm leaving that line open. But when I did this, I didn't draw this original art. I drew the layout for the pages. I drew the character designs, and I drew them as layouts exactly like this. And then I had one of my other artists go in and draw this for me because I didn't have time at the time to draw it. So I'm doing I did the inking, I'm doing the coloring, and I'm finishing up the letter overlays, which are already done as well. I'm just going to be popping them in when I finish this page tonight, because this is the last page for this thing. It's taken forever to get this done because for one thing, it took me forever to get pages from the artist, but he's no longer with me, unfortunately. But it's the same guy that did the first issue of Lone Rider. Again, I did those layouts. He's from Mexico. I did those layouts, and he went in and did the pencils and did the book for me. And I wrote it. I wrote this as well. I wrote it. I laid it out. He did the final pencils for me. I came in, cleaned it up, did all the good inks, and there you have it. So, if you're asking, if I get asked by anybody again that, if this is my art or not, technically it is, because of the fact that one, I own it, but two is the fact that I did all the layouts and the storytelling for this one. But no, it's not my actual pencils. So it's my layout. I pulled a Jack Kirby, an old school Jack Kirby. I laid it out for another artist and let them do it. And Jorge did a wonderful job for what I wanted. He did exactly what I asked him to do. And, we got a great finished set out of it. Like I said, unfortunately, he had to move on because of the fact that he came across some issues that we didn't agree with. So we parted ways. He had some issues with revealing work. But, that's between he and I. Any further than that, that's publicly known, but because it was fans that reported it to me. But he showed some work on his page without permission, and we couldn't come to a terms of agreement on that. So he decided to go his own way, which I'm fine with. It happens. But I have no ill will towards him, and it was a mistake, and I would hire him again. But like I said, he didn't agree with as long as he could come to peace with those terms and respect the artwork and not show it off. But some artists like to do that. But anyway, that's not something I should go further into, because I want to have the respect for him on that. So I'm going to shut up there. But anyway, if anyone asks about his artwork, I'll happily point you that direction. But like I said, this is my layout, my style. So he just kind of penciled over it and laid it out. He doesn't really draw like this. So as finished penciling, I just wanted to clarify, that situation is that with this being my layout, it's a little rougher for him to go in and do those kind of styles for you. But yeah, he's a great dude, a very interesting and inspiring young man with his style, and hopefully he's doing great. I hear he's doing many things now, and I keep tabs on him lightly. But anyway, I get asked all the time when I do these types of pages, it's like, well, is that your artwork? Yes and no. And I'm completely transparent about that, because I don't want to joke people, around and say, hey, this is not, my artwork. But it is my layout and my design and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's the way it went. But like I said, he's a cool dude. No hard feelings. Crap happens. And we're looking at getting this out into the world now so that you guys can see it in its full glory in color. I have a huge thing with that. I originally released this black and white in a demo book and a sneak peek type of thing, and I wanted to put it on the site and put it in full color, and it just never got around to getting done. And you guys need that so you know what's going on with the FireStorm universe. Excuse me. As far as the setup goes, so we kind of need to get that done, and that's why I'm doing that today. Because this page right here is the last page in that set, and it will show everything what's going on and bring the story together. It's the last page to be colored. It's not necessarily the last page in that order, but sequentially. I just want to make that clear, but you never know. I haven't been one to reveal that too much yet, and like I said, I want that to come out and be all over the place, man, where you guys can see these wonderful pages and get that story and get fully engulfed into the FireStorm universe, where you can know what's going on with everything coming up, especially Relapse being released this coming week. So now we have the energy fields going on here. Now I'm going to come in with a really awkward color for this. I'm going to come in with a brown, and I want to do this because I want this to really pop. So this is the way we're going to go about this. All right. Hey, Phil, glad you made it, buddy. I'm doing good, man. Just knocking this stuff out, coloring by hand tonight. This is really cool, man. Getting these pages done up. If you guys don't know Phil, he is an aspiring comic colorist, and he's been doing a few jobs here and there and doing cards and things like that, and he's a cool dude. Very cool dude. But yeah, this is one of those things I just wanted to get it knocked out, get it on point, and get it up on the site this week with the revamp, because this is one of the closest things, that and Relapse being lettered is the closest thing to being finished and ready to go on the new site revamp. And that's one of those things I wanted to get with you guys on and show you, hey man, this is how I do it, And the reason I'm doing this one right here is because I want to make sure that this is kind of a vortex situation. So be sure to put a bold contrasting color for the shadowing. Now I know this doesn't look like much in this penciled style, but what we've got to pay attention to is the fact that when you color like this, be brave and bold about it. Don't jack around. If you're going to lay down a color, lay down a color. And I kind of wanted to mix it up just a little bit with the old school feeling of, hey man, they didn't have all the colors in place. So what we ended up getting was this, hey, I need a bottle of paint. I need it colored for a background color, and that kind of thing. And that's why in some of those comics you get, like the old school 70s comics, especially the 70s comics, you'll get these funky colors just out of the blue in the backgrounds that are open, the open talking head backgrounds, or you'll get the close-up shot, kind of deal going on. And then in that little gap, you'll see these funky colors. It'll be purple, it'll be green, it'll be whatever they have around. And the reason is because they'll use extra colors, leftover colors. They'll save those paints that they can't just use anywhere, and they'll use them for background colors. If they have a character that has a unique color and they have to keep it around, that's one thing. But for the most part, they don't have to do that. Back then, especially because it was a one-shot wonder, because they didn't have regular appearances by characters until much, much later. So that would be the reasoning behind that, okay? I missed a little spot right there on that yellow, so I'm going to grab that. But when they would color, they would use whatever was around. So, I mean, if it was, chocolate brown, hey, chocolate brown fills in the holes. There you go. We got color. Boom. It contrasts what I got going on with this yellow. And I love that effect, because what ends up happening is it breaks the visuals up to where even when you have the story going the way it should be and pacing back and forth, you can use those colors to break the eye. And by break the eye, I don't mean making someone go blind or punching them in the face or anything weird like that. What I mean is that whenever you're going to break the eye, what you're doing is you give a different background color, and it makes the brain access it in an instant, in a micro just a micro touch of a second, and it makes the brain go, hey, something changed. And the reason you do that is so that it goes in there. And the reason I'm going to let that overflow right there is because I want that to look like the magic's, the lightning or whatever he's got going on is thin in places. So it'll wash out when I tone it down. If you overlap it just a little bit, do what you got to do. If you feel you need to go in and erase that, that's cool. But I don't care if it goes over just a little bit, because I'm okay with that, because it's also a nostalgic touch. Because so many people would go over and color, color over this or color over that and whatever. I look at those mistakes as part of the nostalgia of the comic book, and I let them ride because of the fact that that's exactly what would have happened back in the day, when people were going over. And the opaque pencils that they used to use, when they used to use these, what they used to call watercolor pencils, they were opaque sticks, and they weren't necessarily, excuse me, they weren't necessarily a friendly, erasable type of utensil or ink. They weren't a great tool for being erasable. That once they were down, man, especially if they got into wax pencils or, heavy pastels, those kind of things, because we call them pastels in the industry, but the thing is, they're not truly all pastel pencils, okay, pastel colors. They come in all colors, but we call, well, at least the artist clique that I hang out with calls pastels, wax pencils pastels. And what they are is they're crayons about yay thick, and they're about, I don't know, about twice as thick as this, and their wax stick is about yay long. And what they do is they're made of a heavy soft wax, and when you color with them, they work like a paint stick. I mean, they literally lay that stuff on there, and if you go crazy with them, they will not forgive you. They will spank you and make you their little puppy. So don't do that. They will make you pay for it dearly, and they will show you who's in charge. So don't do that. Be very gentle with those and put them away the way they need to be used, and gently spread the love with those, because if you don't, they will make you pay for it. I hear guys all the time quit using them because of the fact that they can't control, contours and whatnot, and the sharp shapes and whatever. They don't know how to use the edges. You just tip them over because they got a flat end, so you can tip them over on edge and use that point. But a lot of them don't sharpen them down. I actually sharpen mine, so I don't care, so much, because I'll get a point on them and sharpen them down. I see people using cheaper map colors and things like that as well. And if you want your color quality to hold, you got to get rich colors. So, don't necessarily just use any map colors or any coloring pencils to get this stuff going. You got to get some high quality stuff. I mean, pay the extra bit for the extra quality, because what I use in these, even though I do use Crayola from time to time, I have some of those around, and just to prove the point here, I really do use Crayola. That's Crayola right there. I have Crayola around, and they're great for this stuff too, but there's some brands that I won't specifically go into that are going to give you a less quality, and you just have to try them out. And just because you pay $2 for a pack of 12 crayons or pencils or whatever, and they're right next to Crayola, that doesn't mean that they're Crayola quality and you are getting ripped off. I've seen that happen too many times, and they won't work for reproduction quality of comics. You have to make sure that they're reproduction quality. And if you have to go out and get yourself some Prisma, high-end Prisma colors, go ahead. I don't have to use a lot of different things like that. I like to mix mediums with more school quality level. I don't try to go all out and go, hey, I'm going to pay $50 for 2 art pencils because of the fact that I want that brand name. Nobody cares when the coloring is down on the page. No one cares. No one really cares. I mean it. No one really cares. Unless you're just at a show or something and you want to show off and, say that you want to use those pencils, that's fine. If you say they're better, that's fine. If you want to do the impression that you're giving a better quality product to the client, that's fine. But at the end of the day, be honest, it really doesn't matter. You know, they don't care what you're coloring with unless they're artists and they want to know what you're using because they like the quality of it and they like your stuff. But they're not going to complain just because you're using a Crayola. You know, I do it all the time and I've never heard once a complaint. Never once. I have had a couple of people come up to me and go, you know, you're not a real artist because you don't use this, that, and the other, and you don't pay $60 per pencil and whatever. I've got that stuff laying around all over the office, man. I've tried everything. It's all in the studio here in the office, and it's everywhere. I try everything all the time. Love doing that stuff. And the reason that I do is because of the fact that I want to test all that stuff out so you guys can find out what's going on. And so I can show you, you know, if my work's working, if my comics are working and my colors are working, then more power to me, and I'm going to use whatever alternative means that I can to get that medium to work. So, you know, whether it's Crayola colors or whether it's straddlers, you know, whatever it is, use what works for you in your artwork and benefits the look that you want. If you get the look you want out of it, don't sweat the rest of it, because they're not gonna. I guarantee you they're not going behind you and using that same thing. Okay? So, with that said, I've got this done. As far as the spirit goes here, I'm going to grab the pencil I knocked off the table, because now I'm going to go in and color. We got about 10 more minutes here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to color up Quantum Jack, which is my time-traveling law enforcement officer, which is right here, this character. I'm going to go in and color some of this just a little bit and let you guys see that, and then we're going to call it a day. So I just want to show off his armor a little bit, because he is one of my origin source characters. He really takes effect on this. Now, he has a chrome style armor, so we've got to go in here and ping this out just a little bit, and then we're going to get into it a little bit more. And all I'm doing is just highlighting one side or the other, depending on where the light hits for this this stuff with the refraction and all that. Okay? I like to go in here and shade one side of it this way, and then have a color pearl, mother of pearl type of effect on the other side. So that's why we're getting this gray out of it right now. I'm just kind of mixing this in certain places, just in select areas across those knuckles, across this thumb here. That's a bicep right there. Like where there would be a hard shadow, that's where I'm pretty much putting that. Now I'm going to go down here. I'm going to cut this in this way, and then come across like that. And that's all it takes, is that little bit of marks, that few key lines, just like that. Done deal. Now I'm going to grab this one back here. Grab that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go along the edge of this mask here. I really love this character, and in his own book, he has a much better, sleeker, updated design. And this was done when I originally created the Origins arc, and I still have this armor, but I've updated it and tweaked it a little bit for his own story. So we've got all that going on. And no, he is not like an Iron Man character. This armor is to protect him from where he shows up in the alternate universe of Firestorm and creates that globe. And he's a time enforcement officer. So this armor is to protect him from time travel, not for, you know, like Iron Man battle armor type of situations. I mean, it can work for that slightly, but not yeah, he can be busted up pretty good. And I'm coming in with this kind of a gold color first, and then I'll take that dark brown and I'll shade that down really good. But I just kind of want to pop that in there to make him pop out just a little bit, because there's some blue in here too. Like I said, this is a chrome style coloring job here, so we're going to have some chrome, a little bit of brown, a little bit of this gold color. We've got that going on. You guys saw a little bit of this with the Silver Surfer that I did. Got a lot of that going on. Okay, cool. Got him mapped out now. So now I'm going to go in with this. Oh, as long as I don't drop it and bust the tip off of it. Let's see. Got this little bit of blue here. We're going to put a little bit of this in, just like this, to liven things up just a little bit. Just patches like this, because then what you do is you go in with the blender and you stabilize this by smoothing it down, and it takes all the kinks out of it, so it doesn't look like it's, you know, colored pencil, that kind of thing. And I really dig doing this. Now we got that going on. And there's a lot more light in this image, so we're going to have to make sure it all maps out there. And I see people go all the time, and they never go through and map this out, but they say it's supposed to be metal, and then they never map out the metal. They never map it out. Drives me crazy. So now you'll see me darken this up just a little. And I'm not fleshing it all out. I'm just, and I did say the proper word there. I'm saying flushing, because by coating this over, I don't want to wash it or flush it away. And I'm just kind of coating this over just a little bit to darken it up, just in places. But I'm not oversaturating it to where it won't exist anymore in the finished product. Okay, so we got that going on. Now I'm going to kind of shade that in just a little bit in these darker places, kind of add a pop of color to that armor in those shaded areas like that. A little bit right up underneath the neck here like that, to kind of give it that pearl effect. Now I'm going to take this same blue here, and I'm not trying to give him pupils. I'm trying to give him highlights for the source of his power in his eyes. So we got that going on. And that's where we are at right now. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. But I will keep you guys apprised of the situation as I finish coloring this tomorrow morning. And I've also got the Invaders coming. So that will be Captain America, the Android original Human Torch, and that will also be Submariner. And I'm hoping to do a piece of this scale, 11 by 17, 10 by 15 finished image, so we can go from there and show you guys a little bit more stuff. I may even, excuse me, I may even go in and do a little bit more on replicating some of this stuff, like say an original Invaders cover. Excuse me here, I'm going to grab a drink. There we go. Now, got cotton mouth, sorry. But that means dry mouth. If you guys don't know what that means, that's a southern term. But yeah, I'm going to go in and try to replicate an Invaders cover, a classic Invaders cover, or I'm going to go in and do a pinup. I haven't decided. I've got like 7 different layouts over here, and none of it's really meshed with me tonight. And like I said in the beginning, I didn't want to mess that up. But I will bring that to you guys very soon. I might even wait and bring you a little bit more of this tomorrow. If you guys are interested, let me know, and I'll show you a little bit more of the finishing process. But either way, thanks for hanging out with me. And this is my process to pencil coloring comics, and I hope you dig it. Until next time, you know how it is. We got this big rock for a little while. The party's great, but let's leave it rocking for the next generation. Talk to you tomorrow.